Innovus was founded back in 2012. It was off the back of a piece of research that I was doing at university, and we were looking at predicting surgical performance. And for that study, I needed a simulator. And when I tried to find one, they were incredibly expensive. So that's when I decided that I needed to build my own. And it was then when I got talking after the project to my now business partner that at the time he was a medical student, he told me that they have the same problem. My business partner is a clinician, and he's incredibly motivated by saving people's lives. And I think one of the things that is standout for him in what we do is that through creating these products and training surgeons, we're not affecting just one life, we're affecting thousands and thousands of lives across the globe. We are an extremely vertically integrated company, and we do absolutely everything from putting things down on a piece of paper, whether it's an idea or a concept, all the way through to the manufacturing and the delivery of those products to market through our sales teams. And we have a diverse set of engineers that work with us, everything from product designers to electrical engineers and software developers that are working on some of the most groundbreaking products in simulation. We use technologies such as augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, and are now starting to begin to dabble in artificial intelligence. I'm going to be totally honest. SolidWorks is obviously very expensive, but having looked around at all the available products on the market, to me, not coming from an engineering background, it seemed at the time like the most intuitive piece of software. And those beliefs have been reaffirmed over the past sort of 5 or 7 years that I've been using that product. Yeah, I mean, at the time, it is a big investment and it's a huge risk for a company of our size, but it's paid off, and it's paid off because we are totally and utterly reliant on that software to do what we do. We use additive manufacturing, 3D printing, and SolidWorks really is the linchpin of it all. It allows us to take a product concept, something that's on a piece of paper one day, and then within sort of 24, 48 hours actually turn that into a physical, tangible product. And so we're incredibly reliant on it. Yeah, so we use 3 SolidWorks products. That's actually 4. We use SolidWorks itself, we use PCB, and we use Composer, and then we also take things into Visualize as well when we need to render products. And having those 4 products kind of work together seamlessly allows our workflow to be as economic as possible. It really helps when I'm working with my electrical engineers to be able to go back and forth with designs without too much irritation. I think that's something that I really value in those products. So there's no doubt in my mind that everybody that works for me could self-teach themselves this software. However, I think that coming to a course where it's delivered in a more prescriptive type manner forces you to actually sit down and learn that in a very short period of time, because the size of organisation that we are, we simply don't have the time to sort of give to training during a sort of a normal working week. So it's really quite useful to come on those training courses. And there's also an opportunity to meet other people, whether they're entrepreneurs or members of staff at other manufacturing companies, and build your network of people. No, the process of actually going from purchasing software to actually installing it and having it up and running was relatively quick and very seamless as well. Chris was there to support us throughout that process. And I think it was probably a couple of days from having sort of set up the financing to actually using the software to start production with. And I can't fault Solid Solutions for all of their support sort of ongoing over the sort of first 12 months of actually using the software as well. As we now leave our startup phase and go more into a scale-up phase, I think it's really important that we've invested early in software to make sure that when we get to sort of the latter stage of the business and we start to see more and more expansion, more and more people coming into the business, that we have processes there to help us scale and grow. It's also really important that if you ever get to a stage of acquisition, that you have really solid processes in your business that other people can come into and seamlessly pick up where you left off. When you're going out there looking for investment and you're speaking to those investors about the business's processes, I think that in most cases, SolidWorks is kind of a very widely known, widely talked about product. And when you're talking to investors, it's a software that stands out to them. They recognize it, and so that they'll take a great deal of comfort in knowing that you're using that product. I mean, at the time when we first brought our first 3D printer into the business, people weren't using them for production. They were just using them for prototyping. So I think we really changed the perception on how that technology could be used, and it's something that I think a lot of people are very excited about. And now we brought in some really advanced 3D printing technology, and we're using that for large-scale mass production, and that's something that differentiates us from our competitors. I mean, one thing I can say that's just become apparent to me is that in the last few days, we've been looking for manufacturing partners to work with who specialize in other areas that we don't. And it's been incredibly useful to have a CAD partner that was able to introduce us to several other companies that provide those services. So having that network there to support you is really quite excellent. And I think this is something that any entrepreneur who's starting out should take note of. And that is that if you go to other providers that are, let's say, cheaper, and you go and use them, you'll just find yourself in an ocean of small businesses and entrepreneurs. And we've actually found ourselves amongst huge organizations, but it's actually been quite refreshing that Solid Solutions and SolidWorks have focused in on us as a business because of what we're doing and what we're trying to change about our industry. And so, I think it's been really quite nice to be a part of that rather than just getting lost.